I was really doing a lot of crochet. I was really hot and heavy into my dollhouse journey. And next time we'll talk about that.
I'm going to trademark that.
Into my dollhouse journey.
Hot and heavy and my dollhouse
Into my dollhouse journey. Yeah, we could. That would be so fun.
Well, welcome. This is The Joy of Making Less. I'm Megan.
I'm April, and we have a special guest with us today, my friend Elsa, and we'll talk about Elsa here in a minute.
Yeah, so we are battling overconsumption in the crafting community, one video at a time, by encouraging kind of our mission of making less and or making a little bit more mindfully. So my goal for this year, we talked a little bit about our goals in the past episode. My goal for this year was to only make items from kits, and if I already have the pattern, so.
Love that. My goal is knit my yarn that I already have, knit from my stash. We did want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in, liked, subscribed to episode 1. We were actually blown away by how many comments we got, how many views we got, how many subscribers.
Diverse amount of comments.
All over the world.
All over the world.
Yeah.
Just really amazing.
Totally blew us away.
We, I kind of signed in, uploaded it, logged out of that account, and then I came back a week later and was like almost in tears with how many people had already responded.
And now we're like, oh my God, we have to actually do a good job at this. People are watching.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you to all of our new subscribers. If you're just finding us, if maybe one of those people sent you our video, go ahead and subscribe. And then also feel free to comment what your making less goal is for this year.
Okay, so this is Elsa. Elsa and I met, how long ago has that been that we met?
I think it's been 8 or 9 years.
I can't even believe it. It blows my mind. But we met, you ready for this? You heard it here first. We met training Kung Fu.
I met Elsa just
5 seconds ago.
So
yeah.
I'm excited to hear the story.
It's my knitting best friend and my Kung Fu best friend. My worlds have collided, but the cool thing about the Elsa's, I haven't trained Kung Fu in a number of years, but we have just become really good friends. And Elsa's also an artist and a very one of the most creatively talented people I know. So tell us, what do you do? You're a graphic designer professionally, right?
I am, graphic artist and fine artist. And I've been doing graphic design for maybe 20 years now, professionally. And this theme of, I think, doing less or making less.
More mindfully. Making.
Yeah. I think that for me, I was working in the agency world and doing a lot of marketing, and that ended up being a lot of emails and banner ads, which kind of felt like spam.
Corporate grind, right? Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah. So I think I consciously made a turn to start to do more fine art and to work with companies that were more aligned with like doing something positive for the world. So I work a lot with nonprofits.
Nice.
Yeah.
But so I think that's really interesting because Elsa and I were texting last night because we call this YouTube channel The Joy of Making Less, but in Elsa's case it's the joy of making more that allows her to do less of the corporate grind, less of that traditional 9 to 5. That, I think it's great for some people and really resonates with some people, but it's not great for everybody.
And it's not always sustainable in the long term either.
Right, exactly. So I think that's a really important distinction is we're advocating for making less, but in some ways I think we kind of should have named the podcast The Joy of Mindful Making, and
we've already changed the name.
We're not changing it again. Because for us, it is about making less. But I think for a lot of people,
overall knitting community, it's how much can you make, how much can you collect, all this stuff, and it's like, how can we do more with less?
I think that's a really great point. And so I think for you, maybe it's turned into maybe making more than you used to as a way of having less of that kind of soul-sucking existence, right?
Yes. So I have ended up making more artwork and less less work digitally.
Da-da-da. This is an
Gorgeous.
Elsa piece, which we'll talk about, but I just wanted to show it. I'll bring it back in a second. So what are you working on here?
So I'm trying to get this air dry clay to work, and it is not cooperating. But I am working on making a series of clay dumplings for an art show in the near future, and it'll be an interactive installation piece, and people will be able to write on them.
Oh, cool.
Amazing.
Right on the dumplings?
Yep. And so I'm just making as many as I can before then.
So if for those of you who don't know Elsa, she's also involved with the Meow Wolf project here in Denver, and was one of the artists who created one of the rooms at Meow Wolf, which honestly, as a person who gets easily overstimulated, your room was one of my favorites because it's relaxing. It was like a nice place to go and chill out with the couch. For those of you, if you're in Denver, find yourself in Denver and you swing by Meow Wolf, she's on the 3rd floor, and it's the room that looks like a pink brain with video screens. How did that come about? How did your involvement in Meow Wolf
So
take
that
off?
was a collective effort. So it's definitely not something that I can take credit for.
Solely,
But
right?
yes,
Yes,
so-
yes. You and your team, I should have said.
Yeah, I think I was essentially subcontracted by somebody who had won a bid from the local artist call before they opened, and was helping manage and do a lot of the fabrication work. So that's pretty much it. And then that was 3 years of my life.
Yes,
I don't do anything with them anymore.
I don't think I saw you much during that 3 years.
It was during COVID, so that was also just
that
a good
was a
thing to have
factor.
going. But so once I started the install, I definitely had to, keep to myself a little bit more because I didn't want to risk anybody else's health. And that was right when everybody was starting to get back into going out and seeing people again.
So tell us more about the dumpling project. So where's it going to be? What prompted it? Where did the idea come from, etc., so forth and so on?
So these will be featured at a show called the AAPI Culture Fest, and they did a call for artists a while back. It was supposed to actually happen during the Chinese New Year, but there was some days of like 10-degree below weather,
Right.
so they needed to use the space for shelter. Yeah, just in case that was going to be needed. So it got moved, and I think that they needed a little bit more art, so I offered to do this for the show.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the concept is actually much like what we're doing here. So in my family, and I'm sure in a lot of families that are Asian and not Asian, just for people who don't know, I am half Chinese.
Okay.
So it was a big part of my life, kind of hanging out with the women in my family and in the kitchen and making things, and dumplings happen to be my favorite. And
Who doesn't love a good dumpling?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I'm sure there are
Just
people.
saying, well, probably, but you're wrong. So there you go. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Kind of. Yeah, so I did a project recently that also featured some dumplings that was wanting to highlight how women are more storytellers in our culture than we give them credit for. And a lot of that does happen in places where you would craft or where you would cook or where you would make things, and then
Right.
it's not necessarily historically recorded in a book, but it is a really important part of how we are where we are.
It's like those traditional, more quote unquote feminine arts, not that, and I'm happy to say that we moved away from that in today's culture where any gender identity can participate and feel welcome in the arts community and the crafts community. But that's pretty awesome that you're bringing in your own history. And I know you have a history of bringing in your own history into your artwork. The stained glass piece, for example, right? So the interesting thing about the stained glass piece is my husband had taken a stained glass class, and also was like, I want to take a stained glass class, and took it from the same guy. Where was that? That was at the Arvada. Was it through the rec center?
It was
or?
through the rec center, so I think the
Apex Rec Center. Yeah, and they had a stained glass class, right?
Yep. Yeah, and that was a funny coincidence.
Yeah.
I think I was just talking to you one day and I was like, I think I might want to start doing some stained glass. And you're like, well,
Guess
Thomas just finished a class.
Yeah.
Let me tell you where.
I loved this piece, and my husband and I bought it behind her back, but it was for the same organization that you did the last dumpling piece, correct?
Yes, and that is the Athena Project, and they support women in the arts. The director has a theater background, so they do a lot of comedy shows and I think theater-based shows. So once a year for I think 5 years, they've commissioned some visual artists to do a show called Women in Their Infinite Form.
And what does this piece mean to you?
This piece was actually just speaking about my biracial identity, and everyone was given a base object, and that was a mirror. So using that concept to talk about what a mirror could be as a woman in their infinite form.
Yeah,
I think that was, I don't remember how I got to that concept, but.
The reflection of your two racial halves, right? Like looking at that and which one do people see and which one do you see, I think is an interesting, I don't know, that's kind of always how I felt when I look at it from, across the room, is kind of reconciling those two very different cultures within one human vessel, right?
Yeah, and I think
I just love it. So gorgeous. I'm gonna move that off to the side so I don't knock it over.
I'm infinitely a woman, whether I want to be or not.
Well, and infinitely American and Chinese, right?
Yeah.
Well, white American and Chinese American. Yeah. And I met your parents, and they're just wonderful people.
They're pretty cute.
They are very cute, yes. Yeah, back in the Kung Fu days. So when is this project going to be on display? The current dumpling project.
This is going to be up May the 11th.
Okay.
Just from
Coming up here pretty quick.
next weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
Oh, so you better get dumpling in.
She's gonna be
I know.
cranking them out during
Yeah,
this
but
episode.
this is the way of the artist, right?
Yeah. You gotta have the deadline.
I've
It wouldn't
only
be
got
our first-
two done.
Wouldn't be the first time you've been burning the midnight oil on a project.
Right.
I do
we've-
have some at home.
We've sewed
but-
together. Now we're now you're dumpling. So it does, because I've messed around with polymer clay as a craft project, right?
Mhm.
Never a fine art project. So I have a question for both of you: is in your mind, what's the line between art and craft, and does it even matter?
I think it's subjective. So I was a dance major in college, and we had a modern professor, shout out to Mark, who would bring us into our first. Yay, Mark! Never gonna see this. I doubt he will.
You never know.
You never know.
I mean, you never know.
So he would bring us into our first choreography classes, like baby freshman choreography 1, and he would be like, "So, what am I doing right now?"
Waving.
Not really. I'm dancing.
That's how I
It's
dance.
all subjective. It's all both in the beauty of the beholder and in the intention, I feel like, behind it. So if you're practicing a craft versus you're crafting, whatever that means to you, I feel like it's all valid.
Yeah, definitely valid. I used to think of like art being something you would behold at the end, and craft producing more useful objects. But I've since done a lot of craft projects that weren't very useful, but really fun to make at the same time. What is it? Does it have any meaning for you, or how you view your creative endeavors?
I think for me, it is a really interesting blend because I've been in communication arts for so long. So there is a bit of crossover, I think, with having a purpose in a project and having an end goal and trying to communicate something where, art tends to be more personal and abstract and open to interpretation. So I think that for me, it's becoming more of a blurred line, and I feel like craft is something that's more accessible
Okay.
to more people, and
Yeah.
especially if they're in a smaller space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that there is a lot of like loaded messaging that we don't really talk about.
Oh, for
in
sure. Because
craft.
there's a difference between an art store and a craft store.
Right.
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 Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, so I was actually an art major in college. I sort of, my program was weird. I have my undergraduate degrees in interior design, and a lot of interior design programs across the country are part of industrial design schools.
Right.
I went to Florida State, and at Florida State, the interior design program is part of the College of Fine Art. So we were considered an art program, and it was heavily art-based. And it was so interesting because I had never viewed myself as an artist, but suddenly here I am. So I was suddenly buying all these drafting supplies, but also fine art supplies too, which I'd never had any experience with. And I remember like after my first semester, I was like, oh my God, I don't think I'm cut out for this, because I didn't know how to draw. I didn't know how to render, and we were working in black and white, and for me those grayscales were really hard to bring anything forth. And then we went into the second semester, and suddenly the world of color was opened up, and that made so much more sense to me, how to make something come alive off of a piece of paper with color. My professors were like, you did that? And I'm like, I know, right? Like suddenly it was like, oh, that's not total garbage. That's terrific. So I made it through. And then, I became a construction manager, so I've never actually worked in interior design, but I feel like in a lot of ways getting in touch with that more creative side has been extremely healing. And I was thinking of that in terms of this whole concept of making less, and where at times, if you're using your creative endeavor to heal yourself or to cope, make more, by all means. That's a very valid reason to make more. Okay, so what are you working on, Megan? What's going on in your knitting world?
In my knitting world, I know last time we met, I had been working on my Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Mead Designs. And I didn't have sleeves, and I was almost done with the body. But now I have sleeves and no finished body.
Oh, tell us more. What happened?
So I took it to knit night, and that was probably some of the first problem.
I can work on a pair of socks at knit night and just knit to purl too.
Yeah.
Anytime I try to do anything else at knit night, it inevitably goes awry.
Right, yeah. So I ended up trying it on, and I was 3 inches shorter than what the schematic called for. So I ended up deciding it would look nice as a crop, but with the weight of the yarn and the length of the sleeves that I knit it to, I wanted to knit it to be like a full size sweater.
A little longer, like
a little bit longer.
So you going like hip length, or?
I think I'm gonna do like an inch to another half an inch more than what it called for, just because I stopped my raglan increases because I got to that schematic measurement too early. So I am going to knit like a few more inches and then start the 3-inch ribbing, and I think it will be a little bit more like hit right at my hip bones instead of like my belly button.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I feel like there's a time in a place in your wardrobe for both lengths.
Right, for sure. But I think also with the amount of ribbing and the fact that it cinches in so much, I feel like I could tuck it in pretty easily with that extra little bit of an inch to the actual main body. So
I think it's gonna look great.
yeah,
It's making me want to do that pattern and actually maybe go like more almost
like cover the butt.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
the
The under butt
wear
length.
wear it with leggings.
Leggings, yeah.
Because I don't like I like my things covered up. My things, don't we? all the things, which have gotten bigger since I don't do Kung Fu anymore.
But the other thing I wanted to show Elsa is my stitch marker is a
Look,
little
it's a
dumpling.
I love it. See, so you could start a whole line of stitch markers and these cool so these little caps we all like to put on our needles. So cute. So you could make there's a whole market here for you also. Let me know. A little collab.
But shout out to Simply Serving for these.
Those are adorable.
And then I can't remember who, I think it's Fox and Pine does the majority of these stoppers.
Yeah.
So.
I've seen a couple others, but I think that's where I got
That's where I
I
got
think
mine.
that's where all mine come from too.
Yeah. So
I'm not
everything
buying
else-
any more of those though. I have like
No,
40
I have one
pairs.
for every season. I have like 3 for winter
Yeah.
and Christmas. I need to stop. So everything else is woven in. Like I was ready to put it in the blocking bath, and I was like, no, there's no way I can make this stretch another 3 inches after blocking and have it still maintain
And
the fabric I
luckily,
want.
it's
Just circular
it's
knitting,
just knitting around, so it's gonna go fast, especially at that weight of yarn.
Yeah,
Better
with the
to
size
rip it
10
back.
needles, for sure.
It's
Yeah.
worth ripping it back and doing again, so it's something that you know is just right for your what you're
and keep for a
envisioning.
while. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of blocking, I wanted to show everybody. Okay, for those of you who are lazy and don't block, shame on you. And I don't know, go back and
miracles.
Go back and look at the video of my finished object from last week, which is the Artist Garden Shawl by Tiffany Newland. And this is after it was blocked. Here, hold an end. and it just completely
It's a schlinket.
transformed it.
It is a schlinket.
It completely opened up, and that's the back. Let's maybe show the front. But isn't that, it's just magical. Blocking is magical. I maybe sometimes don't block hats. Do you know what blocking is?
No, I was gonna
Okay,
ask.
for
what is
anyone
blocking?
who doesn't know what blocking
What
is,
is blocking?
it's when you take your finished knit and you soak it in water with maybe a little wool wash or whatever.
Oh.
And then you spread it out and maybe pin it in place on drying mats or some more absorbent surface. Don't dry your blocks on plastic bags. Do it on something more absorbent.
It's like a recipe for mold.
Yeah, it's not, and it just it'll take forever to dry. And it just helps the stitches kind of open up and settle in,
Relax.
and relax.
Yeah.
Like how you feel after a bath. Nice and relaxed. Okay, so that was my public service announcement in favor of blocking.
Yes.
Also, after blocking, some kung fu hits from you for an hour.
Yeah. Yes.
Super relaxed.
Yes, that's what Elsa thinks of with blocking is not getting punched in the face.
By April.
Okay, so my whip, I'm actually not knitting at the moment. I'm crocheting.
Ooh, new craft has entered the chat.
New craft entered the chat, and we didn't mention it in the intro, and I absolutely love to crochet. I've been, I started off knitting in life, and then a few years, I don't know, maybe like 5 years into knitting, I thought, I really want to learn to crochet. And so I stopped knitting for a while, and I taught myself how to crochet. And for me, I feel like when I went back to knitting, suddenly knitting made a lot more sense. Crochet for me is so much easier to see the stitches.
I feel like I'm the opposite.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
See? Just goes to show
To
you.
each their own.
To each their own. But if you are struggling, if you're newer to knitting and you are struggling with seeing the stitches, maybe try out crochet. I don't know, it helped me. Although it could be confusing but anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is, will you hold the ball?
Yes.
Just go flying. I'm gonna stand here. This is the meadow blanket from Attic 24. She's in
Gorgeous.
It's the UK somewhere. And she just does these her name's Lucy, and she does these lovely patterns that are just these repetitive stripes. And I did it in the color wash. She'll usually do a color wash or just like a random stripe pattern. And for this I picked the color wash because I love this idea of like a sky going into a meadow, into a flower meadow. And so I'm almost done. I'm actually on the last row.
Oh wow!
I'm on the last row of color. It's two rows per color, and then it'll be. It has three borders around it.
So will you block this when you're done with it, or no?
This I do not block these when I'm done with them, and I'll tell you why. It's acrylic yarn.
Yeah, it'll melt, man. If you block it too hot.
Well, I would if I
or you throw it in the wash.
When I do wash these, I wash them in cold on delicate in the machine. You're like 12 years old. Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
And don't cringe at the acrylic.
It's very soft. I think that acrylic has come a long way from
This is style craft.
It's not your mother's.
It's not your
70s
mom's
Afghan.
acrylic. No. It's really nice quality. And I like them for the Afghans because I have little kids, I have pets, and if they get dirty, I don't have to be fussy with it. I can just throw it in the washing machine. I can even tumble it dry on low. You can't tell.
Yeah.
It comes out perfect. Doesn't lose its color, doesn't lose its shape. It's great.
And you said the yarn is Stylecraft. Did it come in a kit?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
nice.
all of her patterns, I'll say this, all of her patterns that I have experience with are 15 colors.
Okay.
And she curates the colors.
That's her number, man.
And then she works with Stylecraft to put together the kit, and they send you, I mean, seriously, from the UK, 15 balls of this, it's DK weight, it's like $60 shipped.
Yeah, nice.
And so it's
with customs too.
Yeah, they don't.
Nice.
Yeah, it's no customs to worry about. I think for the yarn, they don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like not a big deal, and it's wrapped in
Mm-hmm.
to the cost, and it's just nice and relaxing. I
For
kind of go through a little crochet phase when I just maybe I've had a lot going on, or I'm in kind of just finished a big knitting project, and I just want
need to reset and try something
yeah,
different.
yeah, and these I can watch a show. I don't really need to pay attention because it's so. She designs all of her blankets to be, super repetitive so that you can just kind of get into the flow of it and not have to really give it a lot of brain space. And so I've been working on this for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Joy making less.
Yes. Yeah.
Joy making slow.
But at the same time, you're influencing me to try to learn to crochet.
I can teach you how to crochet.
that,
It's not that hard. You would pick it up really quickly.
I actually
anyway.
taught myself how to crochet from a book in like 6th grade.
Yeah,
Like that was one of the
crochet's
things
great.
that they gave us, like a weird little assignment, like learn something from a book. And
Yeah.
I chose crochet and I did like a little coaster and that was it. Never touched it since.
I love that. Well, if you ever wanna learn, pretty much the only thing I crochet these days are Lucy's blankets.
I could see it. I did a knit blanket a couple of years ago out of the Barocco Wizard, which is a chainette
Oh yeah.
yarn,
Yep, I remember that.
and it's 100% wool. And my dog is a blanket hog, so
Is he sleeping on it?
Well, so I had to bring it home. I had brought it into the office because I didn't want him to sit on it and lick his paws and like felt it, basically, because it's 100% wool.
Right.
And I'm sure some sort of nylon or something to keep the chainette together.
Yeah.
And so then I brought it home and it just kind of sits on like my occasional chair and I just like look at it. I don't use it. I don't because it's an interesting stitch pattern. I'm just worried that because I can't throw it in the wash,
Yeah. You gotta be fussy.
I could ruin it. So
Right.
I just kind of admire it from afar. And it's very pretty, but does not get a lot of use at my house
Fair
right
enough.
now.
Yeah.
So,
So anyway, so there's time and space for
sure.
for maybe an acrylic yarn here or there.
Yeah.
But if you do, and it's affordable, right? Not everybody has the budget for these high-end wool yarns. And
when you
maybe
can
it's
make your own gradient and all that stuff too, those are
so
super cool. I'll have to take a look.
I'm not
at
a
it.
yarn snob in that way, really. I'd say use what works for you.
For sure.
If it's a difference between making and not making, I'm gonna vote for making.
And then I have a
every time.
sweatshirt that says unapologetic yarn snob, so I am not
I am
apologetic
mostly,
for that.
but I leave space.
If I'm gonna take the time to knit myself something, I want it to be heirloom quality kind of thing.
So it looks like you finished your Louvre.
I did finish my Louvre bag. I had
It
a
looks fab.
kind of a manic making
Yes, you did.
period before I started my new job, and I was like, I want a new purse before I start this job. So I love the inside of it. It's very, very pretty Japanese fabric, cotton fabric on the inside. It has so many pockets, and even though this is pretty small, I would say this is like a medium-sized bag.
That's perfect for me.
It's
I don't need more than
perfect,
that.
but I still lose stuff in it.
Do you?
So,
doing the bag dig?
doing the bag dig, where did my keys go? And then they'll pop into the random extra pocket that's inside. But that's also nice for my phone. And then I'm excited about, my husband and I are traveling for our honeymoon this fall. So there's a pocket that can zip and goes next to your body. So perfect for passport, things like that. When you're traveling abroad, and cash, things like that. So I really like it, and it has held up pretty well for the past 2 weeks. It's been my everyday bag.
Nice.
So
Well, I got the pattern cut out.
that's a
After
big
we
step.
filmed episode 1, I cut the pattern out. But then I celebrated a birthday, and my family was in town, and things have just been busy, and yeah, I haven't touched it. So
You know? Yeah.
when the space opens back up, I'll get there. And also, I'm studying aromatherapy, working on my aromatherapy certification, and I have renewed my study efforts because
Amazing.
I started it right before the shutdown for COVID.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I wasn't working on a full-time job back then. And then I was really like going gangbusters on the course, right? It's through Aroma Head Institute, and then everything shut down, and I suddenly had two kids, a kindergartner and a first grader, at home doing school. And for anybody who was in the same situation, feel you, we made it through it. But that completely it just derailed, and then I ended up going back to work full time in the construction industry, and but now I'm back at it. So I've kind of been putting that in the front seat, letting those studies take place over sewing. I still have still doing the hinterland class. The bodice fitting class was still liberated. I started that. It's great. I've done a couple of their other sewing classes. I just love them. And that was something I was going to mention as being a transformative experience in how I view making, both knitting, crocheting, and any craft endeavor. Was I did Sew Liberated's Mindful Wardrobe project a few years ago. And so I think if you're someone who, like, you're constantly walking in your closet and you're like, I have nothing to wear, but yet there's a closet full of clothes, highly recommend the Mindful Wardrobe project as a way to learn how to think about your wardrobe and how to really just shop your closet, maybe pair things in ways you haven't had, and also let go of stuff that's not working for you.
For sure, yeah.
That led me to do a color study. I did a color study with this company called Color Guru. And that was amazing, and now I keep the little color card on my phone, and I don't buy anything that's not in that color palette.
Because then you'll find out that you'll wear it once and then
I just don't have anything to go with it.
Yeah.
But you send them all these pictures of your face and your hair and
different lighting and stuff.
and different lighting, and they send you back a color palette. And there were some surprising things that popped up on like bright yellow that I'm like, I would have never picked
like
up.
A mustard or
no, bright
like
yellow.
canary
Mustards
yellow.
actually are bad colors for my skin tone. So I don't buy anything mustard, and I wanted it to be all the earth tones that are in boho popular, and that I got the complete opposite of that.
Would you get all jewel tones?
I did, but
Okay.
but highly bright, vivid, saturated, not the muted ones.
I love that for you.
The clear colors, yeah. And but now everything I find, if I really stick to that, then I don't have to overthink what I'm putting on. It just and it prevents me from buying a bunch of trendy stuff that I'm gonna wear once and then it's gonna get donated
Oh, for sure.
and probably end up in the landfill.
Yeah. So I have a sock whip and a emotional support chicken whip.
Or you're doing the emotional support
I
chicken.
am. This
I
is
love
my
that.
second one actually. So this one
I
is
feel like I
from
need
my
to make you an emotional
mother-in-law.
support chicken.
This
What-
one,
It's a knitted chicken.
What is it? Yes. What is this?
it's like a
emotional
life-size chicken, knitted chicken.
A knitted life-size chicken.
And it's like a stuffy, basically. So this is just the tail, one of the tail feathers.
I
think
love it.
you end up sewing them together, and then you build the body from there, and then it goes up to the neck and everything. So I have one tail feather done
That's so
out
cute.
of my friend Kate's hand-dyed yarn. She did an owl themed
Nice.
release a couple
Is that
of
Bad Luck's?
yes
Bad
Bad Luck's.
Luck's shout
I'll
out.
link her below. But so she did like an owl themed drop, and I test knit for her. So I have a bunch of this like browns, tans, yellows, just chilling, and I'm like, it's perfect for an emotional support chicken.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's the name of the pattern. Somebody's got it.
trademarked. They have it trademarked
Yes,
too.
somebody's got a really great sense of humor and just gets
Yes.
it. Gets the knitting crowd.
So that is my mother-in-law's birthday present.
She knows about it now.
She knows about it. I did tell her. I teased it to her with the one that I have in my house named Henrietta. And so I told her that I was knitting her that because they recently moved to Santa Fe in the last couple of years. They used to have chickens in North Carolina on their hobby farm. And on their ranch in Santa Fe, they're remote enough that having chickens would not be sustainable necessarily. I mean, it would sustain the wildlife in their area,
Yeah.
but it would not be fun to have to clean up the aftermath of that regularly. So they've opted to not have chickens.
Have you watched Clarkson's Farm? Have you
Yes,
watched
I
Clarkson's
started
Farm?
watching it. Yeah.
And they start chicken farming, and he's like, basically, we built a KFC for the foxes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sock whip. I did finish 50%, so I finished one sock.
Oh, I'm almost done with one sock. I showed that last week though, so.
And this is, I believe, Woolens and Nosh.
Yeah, it looks good.
That I got at Wool and Folk last year.
Is that a self-striping?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
cool.
braved it into that booth, and I also got this bag from that booth as well, because
It's
Bearded Pearl was there, Caleb was there. So, yeah, I did add an extra color. It looks like it matches the gray stripe, but it's just a Cascade fingering, just plain gray that I used for the heel.
Nice.
So yeah, and then I'm pretty much through the leg of the second one. So this has been my onboarding video sock that I've been working on while I've been at my desk watching corporate onboarding videos for my new job.
Exciting. I know some knitters who are, ADD, ADHD, and
It's good to have
and
that
having
with your
that
hands at the same
project
time.
that they can just cruise away on, helps them focus on the meeting.
I had an engineer bring a full-on crossword into a meeting one time because he didn't want to bring his computer in, and
I turn my camera off and I find myself filing my nails and doing my moisturizing treatment while the meeting's going on, especially if it's not when I have to like do a lot of talking
or like presenting.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's it for me.
Nice. Well, but it's also Me Made May.
It is.
What do you wear? Do you have anything Me Made on?
I do. I have 3
Me Made on?
Yeah. Me.
Say that.
Me, Meg, and Meg.
So they all previously made from a Me Made May, or just throughout the years?
I always just I'll just wear what I have made at any given point in time.
Yes. Yeah.
And I used to participate in it when I was on Instagram and stuff, and
People
everybody's-
post their like outfit every
But
day.
then year after year, it was just me wearing the same outfits because I don't make a ton of garments. I might make 1 or 2 garments.
It's good to have that
a year.
documentation
But anyway.
though, so when you're like, I don't know what to wear.
Yeah,
Like,
I actually
pull
keep
that
a little journal and I take little
Polaroids.
Polaroids
Cute.
and or just use my phone and then print them out,
Mhm.
kind of thing. So yeah, that way, because I can't. Don't ask me any questions because I can't. Somebody asked last week in the comments, thank you by the way, where my lamp was from, and I don't know.
Reverse Google image search that.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So me
Anyway,
May. Oh my god.
So I'm wearing my Pure Joy by Hohi Locatelli, which is a shawl, scarfy
Shawlette
kind of thing.
That's cute.
It's like a skinny shawl, so
I love the colors that you used.
thank you. Yeah, I know that the like pinky kind of marled one is,
Don't you want to make one?
I think it's Pink Adobe Dye Works,
There's
possibly.
so many good dyers now.
And then the green is Capella Luna Fibers from
This
a
was
few
fun.
years ago. Yeah. I was toying between doing this with the green or doing that with this yellow that I have actually.
What is this like open stitching?
That is
That's very cool.
it's lace technically, but
Lace.
they're just yarn overs. That's
Yeah.
about as far into lace as I get, is like 1 row of yarn overs and
Yeah.
knit together.
Yeah.
So, and it's just a garter stitch.
I
you
have
knit
done
from one
more
corner.
complicated, but I kind of like the look of this. These are more wearable to me than super
Yes.
lacy stuff. But
And I wanted something to like throw on because it does get,
it's really soft.
it's really squishy.
Squishy.
I wanted something to throw on when we're like going to a nicer dinner and it gets kind of chilly at night here when
Yeah.
the sun goes
But you
behind
don't need
the
a
mountains.
full on.
Like, yes,
Schlenk it.
yeah.
I know that I won't really wear that until next winter, but
Yeah.
I've been kind of sitting on the couch at night and opening the window.
Oh yeah,
to get the
to
cool
get the
breeze,
breeze.
so I can just
Yeah,
kind of
it's
wrap
just
up in it.
cuddly, comfy.
It's so cozy.
And then my shirt I'm wearing is the shirt number 1. I don't know the pattern designer, but I'll link it down below. It's just a basic t-shirt, and I opted to not do any kind of neck shaping, so it's also reversible.
Oh.
I'm a very messy eater, so if I spill
That's
something
cool.
down the front of me in the middle of the day, I'll flip it around.
That way they just see it while
when
you're
I'm going. Yes.
And then it's too late to comment.
Yes. And then I also have my sprocket socks on.
Here, yeah, pop that foot up here, girl.
Because I didn't want to.
Show us
No
your
feet pics for free, but I do have my socks on.
Ooh,
Mhm.
yeah.
So these
Yeah,
are
those are
my
cute.
sprocket socks. I got
So
this
fun.
this mini fade set, or I don't think it's a fade, but this mini set was from Bigfoot Fiber Co. I got it from Indie Untangled this year and was able to do heels, toes, and
I
cuffs in the
like
blue,
that
which
color.
I like.
That is really cool.
Yeah, so
You're so good about wearing your socks. It has to be
Yes.
like below 30 degrees for me to wear a pair of
Well,
socks.
I wear them with my Birkenstocks in the
I
spring,
know,
so
you're so cute. And then
socks and stocks. What are you wearing?
Well, I have on my Fancy Tiger.
Reppin'?
Let's see, 17 years of Fancy Tiger Crafts t-shirt
Mhm.
from their 17-year anniversary, and then I have to stand up. I'm wearing a So Liberated estuary skirt, and this is obviously no patch pockets. It has the inlines, inseam pockets, and then I did a snap. I do not like buttons. I'm not a button person. Buttons drive me crazy. They're really hard for my hand to manipulate, so I started doing snaps on everything, and I just love it.
Nice.
So it was my first time doing these kind of snaps, and it was super
They're
easy
really
and
cute.
super fun. Yeah. So yeah, just a nice, easy wearing skirt. I'll be living in it all summer.
Perfect. All right. Let me
Airflow.
make sure.
I like
What about you, Elsa? Are you participating in Me Made May? And it doesn't have to be clothes; it can be accessories too.
I put this necklace together from other necklaces.
And it's
Amazing.
super cool. I love it. I was actually admiring it when you walked in. Like, what is going on this net business here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
See, anybody can participate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is that a wrap?
I think we had one additional segment we wanted to try
Oh
out.
yeah. What are we enjoying?
What are we enjoying, and what are we enjoying missing out on right now?
Oh, I have two things I'm super excited about.
Okay.
Okay. Not to do with one kind of is to do with making. I got a bread machine.
Ooh.
And okay, I wanted to start dabbling around with sourdough, and I've been reading a lot about sourdough, right? Because I'm behind trend on that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like having a pet. You have to take care
Oh,
of.
yes, you gotta
I was like, oh my
feed
god.
and-
So
yeah.
I tried to order a sourdough starter.
Oh, like the ones that they sell on Facebook Marketplace that are like 100-year-old
Yes,
starter
this was
or whatever.
220
Super active.
San Francisco.
Ooh.
Okay, so this thing shows up in this plastic jar inside of a paper envelope, and it had exploded out of. It had exploded out.
Yeah.
And it was all over the container, all over the envelope, and they wanted me to return it. And I was like,
What?
So this thing was $9.30. I should have just not even bothered, but it's the principle of the thing. So I get on Amazon, and I'm like, you people need to call me. And I
Wait, you
and
bought it from Amazon?
I did order it off of Amazon
Wow.
because it was coming from the actual company. It
That's
wasn't
insane.
It wasn't supplied by Amazon.
Add that to the list of things you never knew that you
Yeah,
could buy on
you could get
Amazon.
anything on Amazon, and say what you will about Amazon, but every time I try to buy anything local, I spend a half a day driving around to 6 million stores unable to find the thing that I needed. So,
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos, you win this round.
Spending less time.
Anyway, so I finally did get a refund because there was not enough sourdough to be of any use left in the container. So anyway, I've been focusing on French bread in my bread maker.
Nice.
And because of the issues I have with my hand, kneading dough doesn't really work for me.
So using the bread maker.
So the bread maker's great, and I've been dabbling around because we're at high altitude here,
Yes.
and so I tweaked the recipe, and and it's come out really great. So I'm super excited about that. I've been having nice fresh baked bread. Can you go wrong with fresh baked bread? I mean, no, not really.
No.
Gluten sensitivity or celiac disease aside, but you can make gluten-free bread in this machine. Anyway, it's the Cuisinart Compact bread maker, and I just love it. And then the other thing that I'm super excited about is I tried unsuccessfully for years to compost. It's a nightmare, and I don't know how people do it successfully, especially here where it is so dry.
Yep.
And you can't get a hot, moist pile going because it just dries out.
What a sprays. You
Yeah.
really know
Hot,
what to do.
moist
Boy, we didn't know it was that
compost.
kind of show. So anyway, I gave up on it, and I lived in Seattle for years, and the city compost there. You put your compost out on the
I think
curb.
Longmont compost.
And so everywhere, if you're with the city of Arvada, Denver, wherever, start a composting program that's just part of the trash pickup, please.
I think they are starting that.
I
They're
love
starting
that.
to phase it in.
Well, I found Colorado Compost, and for like $20 a month, $5 a week, you can accumulate all your compost in like a 5-gallon bucket, and they have all these drop bins. They give you the code to them, and you just go and put your compost in there.
Nice.
So super excited about that. What are you excited about?
I'm excited about my new emotional support chicken whip. Also have been getting back into gardening. I'm super excited about.
Nice.
We went to the Botanic Gardens this weekend with my in-laws, and all the tulips were out, and it was just gorgeous.
We need to go.
Yeah.
We're thinking of doing an episode from the Botanic Gardens.
So they have those like really nice sculptures right now.
Yes, they're the
Awesome.
spirit animal sculptures.
Oh, okay.
Really, really
All right.
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
getting tickets for next weekend then.
Just really enjoyed being outside. I got to call my friend yesterday, and she was talking about she has a house in Indianapolis, and she has a garden, and I'm just like embracing the granny core this summer, I think.
Are you successful at growing things?
So this year we have one raised bed, and then we got 2 like planter boxes that are sitting on our railing, and we got pansies and put those in the railing boxes, and then we also sprinkled like pollinator mix of seeds throughout, and so all those little sprouts are also coming up in between the pansies, and I'm really excited to see how that works with the blooms.
Yeah.
But in our actual like edibles little raised box, we planted our basil too soon, so that died a very interesting death, just like so brown right now because basil doesn't like cold at all, and it snowed last weekend.
Yeah, it did. Some
So
stain,
yeah.
some row,
Yep. So grapple.
grapple.
So the tomato plant that I started in my arrow garden is doing pretty well now.
Nice, nice.
But then I started a whole new set on, I think March 31st, I started a whole new set of arrow garden herbs that I'm going to try to transplant
Outside.
after Mother's Day. So
Right.
give it a little bit more time.
Yeah.
I've got like a lime basil and a chamomile and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So we actually had it going pretty well because we got one of those raised beds from Costco that has a reservoir underneath.
Yeah.
So you can like fill up the
still
reservoir
need
and
to
it
go look
keeps
at
it
Costco for that.
keeps it pretty damp. So which
So
is needed.
okay, so the reason I asked that was because I'm going out of town to San Francisco with my childhood best friend. We both turned 50 this year, unbelievable. And so we thought, oh, we need to take a trip, and we haven't done anything like it in ages. But we'll be gone like 5 days or whatever, and that's like the first week of June. So I was thinking of waiting to plant anything till after that. Will I be safe?
I think you'll be safe weather-wise, but you might want to purchase the plants that you want to plant
Yeah, I'm definitely
ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
That's
Are they
when
gonna run
like
out?
yes, like I feel like that's when Jess and I went to go buy plants last year, and it was like picked over.
Yeah.
Like you just got like
That's a
bottom
good
of the
point.
barrel of stuff.
I had
So
not thought of that. See, this is why I've had, I used to have pea patches in Seattle. So bad at it.
mhm.
So bad. Maybe I just didn't stick with gardening long enough to really see the fruition, but I was like, oh my God, it's so much easier to go buy vegetables.
Yeah,
So shout out to all the gardeners and farmers.
for
in the
sure.
world.
Yeah.
What are you excited about right now?
Yeah, what have
Anything-
you been
what do got
enjoying?
going on, Elsa?
I've been trying to make friends with my neighborhood crows for about 6 months.
That's so
yes.
fun. Okay, yeah.
Is it
Tell me about
working?
that.
Are they getting to know you
I've-
now?
I bought some unsalted peanuts,
Okay.
and they definitely recognize me, but I only see them like once every few weeks when I'm walking the
But I
dogs.
think they're that smart that they.
They're getting to know me, I like to think. They're not running from me.
I remember that. She was like, I'm trying to train the crows in the neighborhood. I'm like, of course
Yeah,
you
'cause
are.
they'll bring you gifts, right?
Exactly.
They bring you stuff, yeah.
That's my retirement plan.
Yeah. Sell crow gathered items on Etsy.
Yes, I feel like I do live in the city, so it's kind of hard because I don't really have anywhere to put a crow box where I think they would see it.
Mm-hmm.
But That's what I'm excited about.
Nice.
Nice, I like that. That's not. See, this is why we're friends, because we're both just a little weird.
I go to Kung Fu, I work, and I feed crows.
Yeah, it's so funny because what you can't see on camera is I do have a dollhouse, and I'll have to tell the story of my dollhouse journey one day. It's pretty funny, but at one point in time I had been crocheting a lot, and I had joined this crochet meetup group, which was a very diverse crowd, but I was by far, at that time, this was 10 or 15 years ago, was the youngest person. It was a period of time where I was really doing a lot of crochet. I was really hot and heavy into my dollhouse journey. And next time we'll talk about that.
I'm going to trademark that.
Into my dollhouse
On a
journey.
team. Hot and heavy in my dollhouse.
Into my dollhouse journey. Yeah, we could. That would be so fun. But I went home, and it was a period of time where I didn't really have a lot of friends because we hadn't been living in Colorado that long.
Do you think it was because of the dollhouse?
And I looked at Thomas and I said, I had an epiphany today. I think maybe I don't have that many friends because I'm weird and I do Kung Fu, I crochet, and I'm in my dollhouse years.
In my dollhouse era.
So I'm doing Kung Fu. I mean, Elsa, yes, you became my friend through Kung Fu. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not mainstream. Like, a lot of people don't identify with that, I'm trying to teach my kids, like, hey, it's okay to be weird,
It's okay to be weird and also have less friends.
Yeah,
if they're, quality over
it was
quantity,
so
honestly.
funny because I guess a long time ago, my sister is 8 years younger than me. Hi, Rebecca, I love you. And
Did she watch last episode?
she better have. And like and subscribe, sis. And she reminded me that I had told her a long time ago, it's quality, not quantity. And I was like, I'm like, that's so wise. And she's like,
so wise.
I'm so wise.
Pass me.
I have to
so
remember
wise.
my own wisdom sometimes.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's a wrap. If you hung in here this whole time, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
We're very happy to have you here. Like and subscribe.
And hit that notification bell if you want to know when our next one comes out.
Oh, I did want to get some opinions on a Google form.
Okay.
If anybody wants to just ask us random
questions.
And here are random opinions about things.
We'll drop that link down below as well.
Well, if people are interested.
If they're interested in
leave
just
a comment.
asking us anything, honestly. I mean, we will answer as we deem appropriate. Yeah, we'll drop that link down below. Just hit that more, the ... more next to.
Yeah, which I
the
always
title.
struggle to find.
I
even
know,
though
and
it's
I was
there.
like, why do people always talk about this? And then I couldn't find it on our last video. So, thank you so much to our special
thanks
guest.
for being here, Elsa.
I'm
We're
gonna
not
put the
having very
final
fun.
dumpling count up on the board.
Yeah, how many
so
are we at here? 1, 2, 3,
I
4,
have
5, 6,
140 at the house.
okay, nice.
You cranked out 18 while we were chatting.
Nice.
That's awesome. You dumpling bacon maniac.
In an hour. That's not enough.
I think your grandmother would be very proud of you. You're just
All right, see you
babbling.
guys in 2 weeks. Bye.